Y'all know what time it is. It is the In the Scope podcast with your boy, Joshua M. Hicks, senior writer for Ward Media. You can follow me on Instagram and the Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media. And I know I've been on hiatus for a while. It feels good to be back. And I wanted to come back with one of my day ones. Someone that has helped me in the industry, helped me get to where I'm at now. He's like a big brother of mine. And we go back, at least for me in this industry, like 4 flats on the Cadillac. He's been producing for D and Davis show and doing production work at 670 The Score. And now he's doing content production, podcast production with NBC Sports Chicago. Give it up for the man that everybody loves, Blue Check Tony Gill. Tony, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Josh, man? I'm doing great, dude. Just happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Anytime, man. You know, I got to it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And obviously, there's been a lot of takes that have taken place since, the summer when it comes to the Bulls and the roster they put together. We'll tap into that. Mm-hmm. But as a man that is, close to all the Bears talk, a man that is close to all with everything going on, I'm interested to see how you feel about this Aaron Rodgers situation. They are in a conference and is a rival to us. I saw you make some interesting comments on Twitter regarding this Aaron Rodgers situation, man. I just want to hear your viewpoint on how bizarre this situation really is for Aaron right
now. Interesting and right comments about Aaron Rodgers. Like he's an idiot, and the team put a lot of people at risk with how they treated Aaron Rodgers and his knowing that he's not vaccinated, but giving him the privileges of as if he was vaccinated, going maskless with the media, going maskless on the sidelines. That's a privilege only under the new mandates for the NFL. That's only for vaccinated people, and they know full well he wasn't vaccinated. And I don't care how mad he gets in terms of how they should have handled that. The rules are the rules, and they certainly didn't have the safety of everyone else in that organization in mind by allowing him to do essentially whatever he wants and disregarding the protocols. And he's a liar. He made it seem to the media, that's why nobody asked about this more than once to him. He made it seem like he was vaccinated. And now we obviously know that he was not. And now he's going to miss a game and he won't be back until, minimum, if he doesn't have any symptoms, November 13th. And that's on him. That's on him and the team. And they're going to pay the full price on, on that from the league's investigation to see if the Packers handled this the way they were supposed to go. So, yeah, I mean, as much as I love Aaron Rodgers' talent and his ability, he's an idiot for this, and I thought he was one of the smarter players in the league, and I was definitely wrong.
I mean, maybe he actually can be smart, because I'm gonna put the conspiracy theories out there now. Mm-hmm. So obviously, we know in the offseason he's been having this rift with front office and ownership of the team, right? Mm-hmm. So this is supposed, and they said, him and Devontae Adams said this is the last dance. This is gonna be the last year really being together. Mm-hmm. What if he planned this to maybe not necessarily get COVID, but maybe do a false test or something and say he has COVID, and to Joe Spike at the front office management said, okay, I gave you all these wins. Let's see what you got now. I don't know. I mean, because Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't see him being that type of guy. But I mean, considering all that was going on this offseason, over to me, could be potentially resolvable stuff. I don't know. You never know what can go up a person's sleeve.
I mean, why come back at all? I mean, if you have that intent on, I mean, the story that came out that ESPN broke, they said that he tried to circumvent the vaccination by see if he can get some more antibodies from his local doctor and not actually taking the vaccine. And he tried to submit that to the league, and the league said, no, you are unvaccinated, and deemed him so under the league's protocol. So that shut down at the beginning of the offseason. So the Packers knew what the deal was, and Aaron Rodgers knew what the deal was. He just wanted to do whatever he wanted to do. And they allowed him to do so. And under whatever the circumstances may be, he's leaving anyway. That was already determined that this was probably going to be his last year. So acquiescing to him when he was coming back to camp, anyway, it's kind of like, whatever. But there are other quarterbacks in the league that are unvaccinated, but they have to follow the protocols. They are playing for their teams. Aaron Rodgers just didn't want to be viewed as a simpleton for not. He didn't want to be viewed like Kirk Cousins and Carson Wentz did and what they went through and Cole Beasley in terms of the backlash that they got. He didn't want any of that. So he pretended to be vaccinated. And now he just looks like at least I can respect those dudes for like, all right, I don't think you're smart, but you're doing whatever you're going to do anyway. And as long as you're following the protocols, you're getting tested. I think it's, multiple times a week. Then that's fine. But Aaron tried to lie about this. And that's kind of like, that's what children do. That's not what a grown man does is lie about. That's not this. I lost a lot of respect for Aaron Rodgers today, that he couldn't stand up for. If you don't believe in his vaccinations, that's a whole different, conversation we need to be having. But lying about it in order to circumvent what is deserved backlash was weak. So that's all I have to say.
Oh yeah, that is just it's a lot. It doesn't make sense to me. The fact that he even got this far, it's kind of crazy. But hey, it's the NFL. There's all types of drama that goes on in the league. It's not aside from him. You got guys that's driving 156 miles on a highway with a loaded gun and he's drunk. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There's never a dull party in the NFL, just like there's never a dull party in the NBA. Because in the NBA, the hometown Bulls are making some noise. And this offseason, they got ripped to shreds by critics for at least one of the moves that they made, which was getting DeMar DeRozan to Chicago, and they thought that DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine pairing would not work. And so far, they've shown that that is not the case. And the Bulls are 6-1 now, top of the league, and they are showing that this could potentially be a team to beat. What was for you from the games that you've seen so far? What is the biggest component of the Bulls that stood out to you?
They are way better defensively. That was the biggest concern about this team for the last few years is they couldn't play defense. They couldn't get stops, and they couldn't get, points off turnovers. And they're doing all of that now. They're top 10 in defensive rating. They defend well. They create turnovers. They get out on the fast break. They are doing all the things that we were worried about this group doing. Despite having not really a defensive presence, a consistent one, at that, they're circumventing that by, creating turnovers and it's not the fake turnovers, right? Where they just send double teams. Like, no, they're playing solid, team defense without forcing the issue in terms of, double teaming like Jim Boylan's defensive scheme was. They were tops in league in turnovers, but it was how you generate those turnovers. You can't play that all, a full game. Like, you got to play a solid base defense, and they're doing that now. They're getting hands in passing lanes. They're being aggressive with ball handlers early in the shot clock, like not letting ball handlers get comfortable. So they're doing a lot of things defensively, and I think that's probably the biggest point of turnaround for me is this team is that everybody is bought in to the defensive scheme.
Yeah, it's really surprising for me too, because Zach LaVine himself has taken on that challenge. I know over the offseason, I talked about how you saw how his presence in Team USA really was monumental for him, just because he learned how to play in other ways to help the team win, which especially in the Olympic realm was defense. And you see how that transferred into the Bulls this year. It seems like he's taking a lead defensively to make a statement to show that not, number one, they're all bought in on defense, like you said, but even him to put himself in that conversation of the best of the best, showing that he is that two-way player, especially with this contract year coming up. It seemed like he's trying to take on that extra level defensively to maximize his worth, and it's paying off. And that's something that is exciting for me to see, especially as someone that the Bulls are deeming as the number one guy for this team. How important is it to have your number one player, your star player, be that fully bought in, where he is trying to change the dynamic in his game, that even though we knew he had the capability of doing it, but didn't really have the knowledge whereof to transfer it into full fruition? Like, how important is it for him to have your number one guy to be that bought in, and for the team to follow after that?
It's extremely important. And I think a lot, something that has a lot to do with it is he knows that he doesn't have to carry a whole lot of the offensive load anymore. And I think that kind of started at Team USA, where it was the first team he's been on probably in his life where he wasn't the main source of the offense. So in order to be productive, in order to get noticed, you got to do other things. And playing defense is one of those other things. So I think it started with Team USA filling in a role, knowing that he wasn't the main scorer. So you got to go out and defend. And he did that and made that commitment on that team to defend. And then he's brought that over with him to the Bulls, where, again, he is the main scorer this time, but it's not all on him to get points. And that leaves you energy freed up to actually lock in defensively, where before, if he didn't score 35 plus, on efficient shooting, every night, the Bulls didn't have a chance at winning a game. And that drains you. That drains you a lot. And, down the stretch where it's like, man, like, is it worth it for me to go out all in on this defensive possession when I know it's not going to matter, where I know that, our defensive rotations and stuff like that aren't aligned. So I might as well just kind of do what I can defensively. And then hopefully we can get the ball back and we can score. So he's certainly locked in defensively. He's made it a part of his identity this season. And it's certainly been a benefit for everybody else on his roster.
And that's a good point that you mentioned about how he doesn't have to carry the full load offensively, which gives him the energy to contribute to that end defensively. Because that's why the Bulls brought in DeMar DeRozan, to help be the guy that can help carry some of that offensive load. And the way he's done it with the Bulls, to me, has been tremendous, because they've been able to pick their poisons. Zach LaVine, obviously, we know he's a 3-level scorer now, where he can pretty much score anywhere on the court. But DeMar DeRozan, him having the ability to stick to what he knows and stick to what he does best, which is that mid-range game, is so ideal in Billy Donovan's system, especially when it comes to stretching the floor and creating the space necessary for Zach LaVine to do what he wants to do offensively. Talk about how DeMar DeRozan's fit, even though many have said that it would not work, it's being proved wrong. In what ways do you think that really is going good for the Bulls right now?
I think the instant impact that he's brought over is that he is a scorer, and that's what he does. So having a consistent teammate for Zach LaVine was kind of like the number one thing in the offseason, because he's never had that. They tried to pump up Laurie, and that wasn't it. They tried to pump up Kobe, and that isn't consistent enough. Maybe Pat will, but he's still working on things, and obviously he's injured. So Zach never had, as long as he was a Bull, a consistent secondary guy that can handle some of that. And now he's got DeMar DeRozan that they can do that. And I can admit, I was one of those detractors that said I didn't like the fit, and I'm only gonna go halfway take it back because I do think long term. I mean, what is he, like 32, 33 now? So 3 years later, is he still going to be that, effective? Is he's going to be the crown jewel that, everybody doesn't age like LeBron, that is an anomaly. So do I think that Vooch and DeMar DeRozan 3 years from now, while Zach is in his immediate prime, is going to be able to help attract other stars? I don't think so. But for now, I knew that this was going to be a jump. I knew this was going to not this exactly. I didn't predict that they'd go 6-1, but I figured that they'd be a lot better, offensively, because he's a seasoned veteran. DeMar DeRozan is a seasoned veteran. He knows how to play basketball. So that wasn't my issue. My issue was more long-term view of this roster, is that in 3 years it's already going to be like, your crowning piece should be Zach LaVine, obviously, and then Patrick Williams, and obviously Pat hasn't really shown a lot. So you're banking that reputation is going to help you later down the road. You're pushing the can down the road, in my opinion. But for right now, for the next season or two, this is going to be a really solid team, and DeMar DeRozan is going to be a big impact on that.
Everybody listening right now, you're listening to NBC Sports Chicago podcast producer, Tony Gill. Tone, another component that I think was actually really huge for the Bulls is actually Alex Caruso. Obviously, everyone talks about Lonzo Ball and what he's doing and what he can do and bring to the table on both ends of the floor, especially since his improved jump shot is allowing to shoot, I want to say, is 40% from the 3-point line. And he's doing it on a consistent basis where he's had at least 3 or 4 3-pointers a game. So obviously Lonzo Ball is improving offensively from a shooting perspective. But I think the key here is Alex Caruso, especially with Kobe White being out. Having Alex Caruso as one of those backup guards that can come off your bench and get you key defensive stops on the defensive end and timely jump shots from the three as a catch and shoot shooter, as well as the ability for him to run the break, which we know that he is capable of doing. How valuable is Caruso showing his worth right now with this team? And I think it's huge that he's doing what he's doing right now.
He's doing a very good job, and he made it a point to come out, and bring that consistent defensive effort, which he's brought every game, and I think that's here to stay. And by Billy kind of staggering those minutes where Zach and DeMar are kind of running with the twos at different areas and spots of the game, is really allowing those bench guys to have opportunities to play off of Zach and DeMar in the spacing and the playmaking that they can provide. Alex, offensively, I wouldn't peg him as like a bucket guy, right? He's not Kobe White. He's not Lou Williams in terms of that vein of a 6-man coming, or Jamal Crawford coming off the bench. But he is going to provide smart, high IQ basketball. He's going to play really hard. He's going to run the break. He's really athletic. So he's going to do all those things that you need him to do off the bench. And he certainly stabilizes right now, which is an inconsistent bench effort. We got to see if that will continue. What Ayo did and what Troy Brown Jr. and all those other players, they got to be more consistent to kind of help boost that second unit. But Alex Caruso is certainly a headline in that group.
Yeah, and you made a good segue transition to Ayo, because Ayo, especially as of late, has really shown, even for a rookie, that he is not afraid to be in the big moments. And he is pretty much grown to where he can be a good two-way player in this league. Especially this last game that they played against Boston, he showed up in a lot of ways to help keep that Bulls team afloat, and actually which allowed the Bulls to have the spark that they needed at the end to close out that game in the fourth quarter and go on that huge run. What is Ayo's ceiling in your opinion? How good can this young guy really get in this league, especially since you're talking about a 21, 22-year-old guy who played 3 years of college ball, Bob Cousy Award winner, has success because he's a Morgan, as a homegrown champion, state champion at Morgan Park, won the Big Ten title with U of I. Like, he has the skill set to make an impact now. But what's his ceiling? Like, how good do you think he could really be for this Bulls team?
I don't know yet. I just don't want to measure it off of one hot game that he had. I still need to see a little bit more. I will say this. I think because of his college experience, he knows where he's supposed to be in terms of spots on the floor to be effective. And that's something Patrick Williams, who was a number 4 pick, is still learning. And he was a freshman when he came out. So they're like the little nuances, the little nuances of playing basketball, okay, I don't have the ball. Where do I need to stand? Where can I make my cuts to get open? And a big part of that is running the floor. All you do is just run, and somebody will find you. And work hard on that end, and then also, just don't be a turnstile on defense on the defensive end, and communicate. So like he has all of that down because he stayed in college. He learned that and was taught that while he was in college, of all those little things that make a good roundabout basketball player. He's doing all of those things. So we know he's a NBA player. That's what you want to know. With a second round pick, you want to know, can he survive on an NBA level with NBA bodies? And so far he's doing that. So that is a plus for Io. In terms of his ceiling, I mean, I want to be realistic because let's face it, he is a second rounder. So I don't want to be like, oh, he's the next, Jimmy Butler. Like Jimmy Butlers just don't happen all the time, in the back end of first rounds and in the second rounds. Like there's a reason why, guys go in the second round. So if you have to put a ceiling on it, I like the Jrue Holiday comparison. Jrue's really good though. Like that's peak top end in terms of what Io could be. And Io's people don't understand, like Io, he's a little bit on the smaller end, and the guys that we think that he should be or think we has his play style are a little bit bigger than him. But I think if he molds himself into a Jrue Holiday type guy, I don't know if he's going to be an elite scorer. I think he may operate best as a playmaker. So I think Jrue Holiday might be a top end again ceiling for Io.
Really interesting comparison, because I can see that actually. That's a very good interesting comparison. But let's transition to Kobe White, because Kobe White has setback, his shoulder injury, and they say he's not supposed to be available till later this month potentially. And Patrick Williams was the same way until before he got hurt. Now he's out for the season. How much of a setback do you think those two as a young core is really going to be for the Bulls, for this Bulls team? Because yes, the Bulls made lots of big time moves this offseason by getting some good quality talent to pair with Zach LaVine. But they were heavily banking on the rise of Patrick Williams taking that second year leap, especially from what we saw in the summer league. And then expecting Kobe White to go back to the Kobe White of old, because now you don't have to put so much responsibility on him to be a point guard. He can actually be the scoring guard that we know he can be. And that's what his true gifts are. So with those two being derailed by injuries and Kobe White hasn't really going to be coming in kind of late, do you think that's going to potentially slow down the Bulls? And do you think it's going to be a while for someone like Kobe White to get back under his feet, considering that, it is a shoulder injury. It's going to take time to fully get back into shape. And the way the Bulls roster is looking right now, just with what they have, they're rocking pretty good. So do you think he can mess up that chemistry?
Are you saying when Kobe White comes back, is he going to mess up the current chemistry? No, I don't think so. Again, like if you look at just the resumes of the guys that's on the Bulls bench, it's nowhere near to where Kobe's is. I mean, like in terms of the type of player that Kobe's been in college and the type of player he's been in the league in terms of what his skill set is, he will instantly become the best scorer off the bench, like as soon as he's ready. So I don't think he's going to mess up anything. He's a excellent, catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He definitely improved on that under Billy Donovan. So, and again, he doesn't have all the responsibilities of being a point guard. He could just go out and be the best Kobe that he can be, which is scoring. And a scorer is going to score. Like if that's your gift in terms of getting buckets, and make it look easy or fluid. That's what you're going to do, kind of regardless. And he will just need to get his stamina, behind him, get his feet wet defensively. That's my only concern is defensively with him, making sure that he doesn't disrupt what they got going on, making sure he understands the scheme, where he, is not getting lost or being ISO'd. He knows where the help is coming from. He knows where his position is to be helped on defense. So that's my biggest concern. I'm not really concerned about what he does offensively. That'll come, I think, eventually as he gets going during the season. If you look at Patrick Williams in terms of, you talked about losing him, I think that more hurts the Bulls from a long-term standpoint than a short-term one. His stats weren't really that great. Like, I think he was averaging like 6 points. Like, you can replace 6 points. Like, that's nothing. But the long-term development is what is going to hurt him and the Bulls. And to small degree, Kobe, if he doesn't, get right and get going like they projected him to, which I'm not worried that there's any setback so far. I haven't heard or seen anything that there's going to be a setback with Kobe. But Patrick is going to come up on a contract year soon, and you got to know what he is. You got to know what he's like. I mean, he's your top 4 pick. That is their prized possession in terms of a draft pick for Mark and Arturas. So that is the difficult part, is that they miss a year of development for a guy that hasn't had a full training camp yet in his entire NBA career, because again, he had a slight foot injury in preseason this year. So you still don't know what he is. And like I mentioned before about my concerns about, the next 4 years of the Bulls, is going into a free agency, him and Zach are going to be the key pieces, and possibly Lonzo, like they are going to be the headliners. And if he's kind of like a middling player and you just got Zach, and hopefully Lonzo, continues to grow. But if Lonzo is just the same player and you got like, Zach LaVine, like what's going to convince another star to be like, yes, I will come here? Like, it's going to be a bit of more of a challenge. That's what I'm saying. So I think the Patrick Williams injury actually hurts them more long-term than, Kobe's injury than the short-term.
So obviously, now that Patrick Williams is out for the season, that, like you said, that's a key component that the Bulls are going to miss, and ideally wanted to utilize to help with this roster this year. What do you think the Bulls should do moving forward in trying to replace Patrick Williams for this season alone? Should they go out and seek a trade? Should they try to wait it out until maybe like the buyout season, where more talent could potentially be on the market that could be bought off from other teams, and they can potentially, especially if they're a playoff team, can get more consideration from top veteran players that can fill that void? What do you think the Bulls really should do to fill in that roster spot that clearly is open because Patrick Williams is out?
Well, they shouldn't make any sudden moves. Right now, they seem to be treading water pretty well with their various rotations. Now, they are small and not having just the body outside of the production, right? Like, he's only averaging 6 points, I think maybe 2 rebounds. Like, outside of his statistical production, he's still a bigger body and very versatile in terms of movement on the court that allowed you to play a bit smaller. Not having that is a slight loss. I don't want to, disrespect him in that aspect. It is a loss, not having, his wingspan and his height around. Right now, I think they're doing a pretty decent job. They're working Tony Bradley in. He did a pretty decent job. Look, Vucevic is going to have to play a bit tougher, trying to stay out of foul trouble. So I think they're going to see if on the current roster they can kind of rotate guys and kind of replace Patrick Williams as a group. If it gets really bad, still yet to be seen that the Bulls can get really bad just yet. But if they're just being taken advantage of at the power forward position, they may make a move, but again, they traded away some assets. And I think that they should be cautious of giving away too many future, things, because they may need them later down the road to make a actual move instead of just trying to replace, for a season. So as long as they're handling it, correctly within the bounds of their roster, I don't think they may not even need a move unless one is present and obvious. Because you got to think like who are the Bulls going to trade to feel that in a significant way? Like the only real one is like Kobe. And if you're going to trade Patrick Williams, he may be involved. But again, that's a more of a short term, thinking like, oh, we got to see how well we could do this season. Like it's bigger than just this season. If they want to win a championship, they have to think, a few years down the line in terms of growth and progression instead of like trying to get the most out of this season.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially when you talk about the trade assets, because the NBA, I believe, is still investigating that Lonzo Ball sign and trade situation, which may lead to them losing some draft capital, which could be beneficial for future moves if they wanted to make them down the line as well, like you mentioned. Everybody listening right now, you're listening to Tony Gill. Tone, I kind of want to talk about, to me, in my opinion, a little bit of an unnoticed player, but it's making a huge impact, and Javonte Green. Javonte Green, he may not be the best shooter in the world or anything like that, but he's a scrappy guy that gets the job done defensively, and he rebounds. He reminds me of like a David Nwaba, who used to play for the Bulls. Who was a scrappy guy, but gave a lot of energy, a lot of hustle. And I believe that's something that the Bulls lacked last year that they really need this year. Someone that can give a boost, that can give a spark. It's going to be a long 82-game season. How much of an impact do you think, just off of his energy alone, Javonte Green can really be for this Bulls roster, especially now that you have probably going to be playing some more minutes, considering now that Patrick Williams is down?
Yeah, he's been playing a significant, amount of minutes. And again, like, he's a really solid player. I'm glad the Bulls have him. But one thing I think Bulls fans should always be wary of, and it's something that has plagued Bulls Nation for a while now, is falling in love with guys that, on good teams would be marginal players, or like, seventh, eighth, ninth guys, off the bench. And you don't even have to go that far. You can just look at the last couple seasons of guys playing out of not position, but out of role, guys playing in bigger roles than what their talent, would be available to them. So again, we're going to need a lot more games to, figure this out. I just want fans to look. I like him. He does provide a spark. He runs the floor. He plays really hard. But let's see some more games. Like right now, he's been playing power forward over an 82-game stretch. I don't know what that's going to look like in terms of once we have the larger sample size. What's that going to look like? Because teams, they look at film. They're going to be watching the Bulls, how to take advantage of their smaller lineup. Like, it's still early in the season, but he is playing really hard. And that's the biggest thing right now is Billy Donovan is having everybody play as hard as possible when they check into the game. And that's a huge key for a good team, a well-coached team, that he's playing hard. They're running the floor. They're trying to get the easy buckets, and they're playing hard defensively. So he's certainly going to play a lot more minutes. It's going to be interesting to see, how Billy kind of circumvents other teams figuring them out in that weak spot of power forward. But for right now, you got to ride the wave while it's hot.
Yeah, that's true. I was watching Jalen Jacoby, I think, earlier this week, and Jalen just keeps on mentioning about how the Bulls have a living, breathing GM. I like to take it as far as they have a living, breathing front office management, period. When you talk about, what the work that Mark Eversley's done, Arturas Karnisovas has done, and even getting a competent head coach in Billy Donovan and the staff that features legends like Mo Cheeks and things of that sort to help really build this Bulls roster into what it is now. That being said, where do you think, from a ceiling perspective, this Bulls team is going to be, and how deep and if they are a playoff team, how deep of a playoff run could they go?
I think that they're going to go, they're going to be a fifth seed and hopefully up. I think a 6th seed and under would be a disappointment. So I'm banking that they should be a top 5 seed in the East this year. From there, I don't know. I've never seen this team. I've never seen Zach LaVine in a playoff setting. And I don't really want to, predict too much in terms of that aspect, because again, like I know enough about the Bulls that you never go that far with the prediction with them, because they're just, wildly inconsistent at times. So I don't know what they'll be like once the playoffs start, but I have a pretty good feeling that this team, barring injuries, and again, we got to watch that Zach LaVine left thumb ligament. Always be, cautious and aware of that. That may go in anytime because it's very dangerous. But yeah, they should be at least a 5 seed in my opinion.
All right, I hope that as well, man, and hopefully, we'll hear about. Hopefully, are you covering the Bulls this year? They got you. They get you in the scene.
No, I'm not there anymore, man. Since the pandemic, it's like, man, do I really want to, go out there like every night and go through all this stuff? Like, especially now, like with my extended role at, kind of NBC and kind of what is the stuff I'm doing there. Like, it's a lot, and like I respect the grind of the writers that do that full time. That's their job, and that would be like an added responsibility, on me to do what I do at NBC and cover, the Bulls. And, I got a lot of life things going on, got a old lady that, that I'm, that I'm very serious about. So, it's all about kind of priorities right now. I can, with Zooms and stuff, like I can be in a press conference, I can, watch the game. So I feel like I've made the connections that I need to make at the Bulls there, and the sources that I need to have there. So in my case, it's my job is complete. I'll definitely go out. I'm definitely planning to go cover a couple games live this year. But this year I'm just kind of, taking a back seat and just kind of working along with Jason Goff and Casey and Rob, and to put out a Great Bulls podcast and some Great Bulls content.
No, that's real, bro. That is real. Of course, I never got to officially tell you, but congratulations to you and your lady.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, bro. But yeah, you guys are doing some good stuff over there. Shout out to Rob, who's been on my show before. Rob Schaefer, Casey Johnson, Jason Goff. These, you guys are doing great stuff, especially with the Bulls Talk podcast. And there's a good segue to that. So what's going on as far as big projects? Any big projects coming up? I know obviously right now Bulls Talk is going on, but you also got Bears Talk coming on with Under the Thunder podcast. Shout out to our guy Ken, who's the host of that. What are some big projects coming up that our audience can follow and check out?
Right now, well, the ones I can speak about, I can't really say in public just yet. But potentially there could be some things down the line. So just kind of follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tony Gill, just to get constantly updates. But you can check me out in other spaces. I executive produce the Sports Adjacent podcast with the Sun-Times Russell Dorsey and Jason Leisure. That is an extremely fun passion project that they created that I'm executive producing. And it's really dope. So check that out. We put out clips every week. That's a fun time if you like sports but not like sports. It's really a fun time for everybody that's that just wants to listen to just a fun podcast and an interesting podcast. We do tackle some heavy stuff. We talked about on the latest episode that's coming out tomorrow, we talked about the Blackhawks and Scottie Pippen and how he's attacking life in his senior years. Like we talk about real stuff on there as well as have a good time. Also, I executive produce Bartow's Breakdown with the Flying Illini, Stephen Bartow. You guys know who he is. He's done a lot of broadcasting work with the Big Ten. He actually called a Bulls game on the radio this year so far. He's doing a lot of TV calls with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I executive produce his college show, and that comes on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn and YouTube. So, follow me for all that stuff. Follow Stephen Bartow, follow Russell Dorsey and Jason Leisure to catch me where all those spaces are.
Blue check Tone, always a man with a plan, always busy, but you always doing good stuff, man, to, bring joy to our hearts in the sports realm. We really appreciate it. And like everybody, like you said, everybody go check out his work and his content, because he has clearly plenty of stuff to give us. So we definitely got to check in with that. You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media, as well as follow We Are Regal Radio. We are RegalRadio.com, warmedia.com, or on Substack. You can follow this podcast and this show on YouTube via War Media, Instagram and Twitter, War Media, War on Anchor on all podcast platforms. You name it, we're all over the place. We got a lot of great stuff coming your way. Tone, I appreciate you coming on my show, giving me all the insight, the scoops. I need a brief analysis, just real brief. What's up with Scotty What's up with Scotty, man? Like, what's up with him and the spirits kicking in to come off the way that he's coming off right now with MJ? Clearly, he's not done. His book comes out next week. Like, what's going on with Scotty, man? What's your viewpoint on Scotty and how he's handling all this?
If you want my full take, listen to the Sports Adjacent podcast that'll be coming out tomorrow. But in short, I don't know. I think he may be going through some stuff, just in his, in his mind and in his personal life, that he feels slighted in a way about the narrative about his career and, himself personally. And if a person is harboring these feelings, these regrets, about, how they're being viewed in life or things of that nature, he's retaliating. And he's retaliating with his book. He's retaliating with his comments about Michael and the book and The Last Dance, which I think in small portion, he may have a small point in some aspects. But yeah, he's obviously hurting right now. And he's kind of lashing out and wants people to listen to him on why he feels the way he feels. So, I mean, that's his prerogative. He's a grown man. He's got kids. He's an adult. He's going to make his own decisions on that and how he takes something. And we're just here to just kind of take that all in and as it be a source of entertainment for all of us.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's true. I'm looking forward to seeing how that see and read how that goes. I did pre-order his books. I'm interested to see how that's going to go and how that narrative is going to turn out. But again, Tone, I really appreciate you coming on my show. Keep doing big things out there. I look forward to seeing all the content and keeping in touch with you, man. I know obviously pandemic has taken away a lot of things, but once things get better and I become more free because of school, we definitely need to link up and catch up for sure in the public eye. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely, man. Keep grinding, keep doing your thing. I see you, bro. You always got my support. Meantime, man, you want to reach out, man? Let's do it. We got you.
I got you, bro. Really appreciate it, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, man.
All right.